I'm very intrigued by things like this. I don't know why these kind of things interest me. Singapore is shaking up the education system with some big changes, even though it's already being recognized as one of the best in the world. While this seems like this should only be news for students and teachers, this is actually a huge and bold leap forward for everyone. Here's why. There are actually many changes being made, and most of them are still in its pilot phase or have just started implementation. But I want to talk about two things that are game-changing to me: subject-based banding and school-based assessment changes. We'll come back to those. To better appreciate this change, we need to talk about how our education system first came about. Back in the old days, when Singapore first gained independence and pretty much had no domestic market to show off, our leaders went out to attract and convince multinational companies to set up shop and build a base here. Of course, in order to attract international companies, we need to make sure that we have the ability to create and provide a workforce that is of international standard. The keyword here being international standard. We'll need a measurement of sorts in order to help employers decide if we are just as capable or better than someone from, say, London. We adopted the international exam standards you see today, and the curriculum was created with the end goal of helping students meet those standards. Make sense? But every student learns differently and at different speeds. But we're smart. We clustered students of different learning ability together so that those that show more academic aptitude can tackle materials at a quicker pace, and those that need more time can learn at an appropriate pace. Very efficient. Also makes sense, right? That was one of the things that makes Singapore an attractive place for MNCs to set up factories and offices here. And that provided jobs and grew our economy. Fast forward to today. Singapore now boasts one of the top education systems in the world and is home to the largest number of headquarter jobs from Fortune 500 companies compared to other key hubs in Asia. But we need to keep up with times. Now that Singapore got to be our standard, there are new issues we need to address. Like, how can we encourage more creativity to spawn the next Steve Jobs? How can we close up socio-economic gaps for a more inclusive Singapore? And how can we make schools less stressful while encouraging a love for learning, all while still having a rigorous education system? So first, let's talk about full subject-based banding. Essentially, that means instead of everyone taking all their subjects at one particular level, secondary school students will be able to take each subject at the level that is most suitable for them. It's like what primary school students are already doing, and it's actually in place for some subjects in secondary school as well. But by 2024, this will be the case for most subjects in secondary school. That means if you're really good in humanities subject like history or geography, you can take this at a more demanding level. Then for these subjects, you will join the respective class according to the level of the subject you're taking. I freaking love that. Most of us can't be good at everything, and this system doesn't diminish your love for learning as a whole and gives you a more conducive environment to excel if you have a flair in a certain subject. That's mad. Okay, we move on. Changes to school-based assessment. What kind of changes? Essentially, they are removing exams totally for P1 and P2 and removing mid-year exams for some other levels. Because as we know, exams are just one of the many ways to let us know how well we are doing at a subject. And also because we know some will just aim and mark for the exams. How to be creative, how to enjoy learning. But what sort of things can students now do with the freed up time from not having to prep and sit for these exams?
We used Harry Potter as a text for English, and they had to come up with objects that they had stolen as spies for Dumbledore. The learning in that project was that they were able to use their skills in situational writing as well as descriptive writing, and if we do something that we think works very well, then what we do is we actually share it with our colleagues. We say, I tried this activity out with my class. Maybe it's something that you might want to do. I'll send you the materials and things like that.
I think the discussion that we need to have is always about the learning for the students. It's not about the results and the grade. It's actually, so do you feel that you understand this topic a lot better? So the focus is back on what they have learned. And once you do that, then it actually gives a child a lot of satisfaction.
Since the change, my social studies teacher has been making more and more creative lesson plans. He's actually the one who introduced the Socratic debate to the class. It's not like he will teach a lesson and then we will absorb the information. We are actually learning on our own and then trying to fight each other points.
Okay, so to all the parents that rather your child stress like mad for good grades at exams, you go and protest lor. You want your kid to continue to lose sleep mugging and not be interested in learning, you go and protest lah. You want your child to just score high, right? Go some popular school, you go and declare lor. You want to go this school, that school, never mind whether they're happy, you go and tell your kid. Go and tell your kid yourself. Go lah! These are just two of the changes that have been made recently, but they are a huge step forward for Singapore because it's not just trying to change the system, it's about changing our society's attitude, our mindsets to what learning means and to what education is for. In the past, it's literally to create good, productive factory workers, but not anymore. It'll take time for us to truly see its effects for society, especially since these changes will mean the education system will be very different from what we've gone through ourselves. And if we as adults cannot see ourselves enrolling for a skills future class to learn something at this age, the least we can do is give our children the chance to learn how to love learning and maybe it'll rub off on us too.